NASCAR has come up with a new rules package for the Cup cars coming up at Daytona in a few weeks, and there's a new driver in my NASCAR Cup Series power rankings. Welcome back to another episode of Talkin NASCAR. I'm your host, Andrew. Hope you're all having a great day. Today, got a great show on hand for you guys today. Some news around NASCAR and the sport. The in-season challenge round 4 is coming up this weekend in North Wilkesboro. NASCAR's first Cups points paying race in North Wilkesboro, I believe, since 1996. So it's been quite a long time since a points race has been at North Wilkesboro. So it should be an exciting weekend. And of course, my latest edition of NASCAR Cup Series Power Rankings following this past weekend in Atlanta. That will be on hand at the end of the show, so stay tuned for that. But we got to start off the episode by discussing the Craftsman Truck Series and O'Reilly Series races from this past weekend. So the Craftsman Truck Series, starting with them, they were out in Lime Rock Park this past weekend, and safe to say, very chaotic race in this one at Lime Rock on the very small road course, a very beautiful road course as well out there in Connecticut. But Grant Enfinger walked away with the victory, snapping his winless streak, earned very good points for him, finished third in stage 2, and is inside the top 10 in stage 1 as well. So very solid points day for the veteran driver of the 9 truck. Grant Enfinger currently fighting for a chase position. This helps his case. We'll take a look at the standings for the O'Reilly and the Truck Series in just a moment. Landon Lewis finishes inside the top 10 with another runner-up finish for Nice Motorsports in the 45 truck. Another top 5 for Landon Lewis, finished in 4th place back in the San Diego Street Course, was contending for the victory, came up just short, had a penalty, but still very impressive nonetheless from Landon Lewis. I'm wondering what his potential offers he might get for maybe a potential Craftsman Truck Series ride next year, because he is certainly impressing many teams and certainly impressing Nice Motorsports. He's probably been the most impressive non-Cup or Rally Series driver in that 45 truck this entire year. So I'm very excited to see if Landon Lewis does have a full-time ride in the Craftsman Truck Series next year. I would love to see it. So we'll have to wait and see on that front. Caden Honeycutt in 3rd place for Tricon Garage. Parker Kligerman driving for Spire in the 77 truck in 4th. And then Christian Eckes rounds at the top 5. His teammate of Daniel Hemrick in the 19 in 6th. Andres Perez de Lara, the road course ringer, ends in 7th place, driving for Nice as well. Tanner Gray, Stuart Friesen, and Colin Braun driving for Calling in the number 25 free agent truck round out the top 10. Cole Butcher in 11th. Brendan Queen, Jackson Lee for Team Ray Hume in the number 2 truck, another road course veteran. Justin Haley and Dawson Sutton would round out the top 15. Wesley Slimp for team for Halmar Friesen Racing, Stuart Friesen's team, the 62 truck, driving part-time with the 16th place finish. Connor Mozak, another road course ringer for Spire in the 7 truck, finishes in 18th. Graham Doyle driving the 5 truck for Tricon Garage in 19th. Graham Doyle, for those of you who don't know who he is, like me, is a road course ringer, another one of these road course ringers who actually is driving in the IMSA sports car series with a Lamborghini team. So how about that, getting an IMSA guy to drive in the Craftsman Truck Series? So top 20 result for Graham Doyle in his debut in the Craftsman Truck Series. And then some pretty big names outside of the top 20. Lane Riggs, the points leader, in 23rd after starting from the pole. Gio Ruggiero in 20th actually got wrecked on the final lap by his teammate of Caden Honeycutt, so might be a bit of an uncomfortable situation there for him. And then looking at the rest of the order, Corey LaJoy in 28th, he had a mechanical issue in this one. Chandler Smith as well. Ben Rhodes and Majeski outside the top 30. And then Thomas Annunziata driving for Tricon Garage in the 1 truck ends at 29th. Thomas Annunziata also had a very scary incident out on track. His truck coming to 1 to go. They're about to get the 1 to go on a pace lap to get back going on a restart. His truck caught on fire, and it was a very big fire on that number 1 truck. Thankfully, Thomas did climb out of the truck okay and was transported to a nearby hospital for a medical evaluation. He was released that day and posted on X that he is okay and said that he just inhaled a little bit of fire. I hate to say that, but, Thomas Annunziata, I don't we're all concerned when you, your truck got engulfed by a fire and then, go to the hospital for it, and then the first thing you say online after the fact is that, "Oh, don't worry about me, guys, I'm fine. I just inhaled a little bit of fire." Yeah, I don't know what Thomas Annunziata was thinking, how far that statement would go, but regardless, I'm glad to hear that Thomas Annunziata is okay. I was very excited to see him being on the entry list for this race in the Truck Series. I really like Thomas Annunziata. I think he's got a very nice set of road course skills that I would like to see more of in any of the 3 NASCAR National Series. We've seen him drive in the O'Reilly Series before, seen him in Truck Series in the trucks a little bit this year, but not a whole lot. So I would really like to see Thompson Nunziata get a legitimate shot, like a nice part-time schedule, kind of what like Austin Green is getting this year with Peterson Racing, which we have a little bit of a rumor to talk about there with that team. But I would love to see Thompson Nunziata get something like that in any of the 3 national NASCAR series, like trucks, O'Reilly, probably not Cup Series, but you know what I mean. So I would love to see that from Thompson and Ziada. Now moving on to the O'Reilly Series race, and safe to say this one was equally, even more chaotic and destructive than the uh, the Craftsman Truck Series race from Lion Rock Park, which both happened on the same day, mind you. So something must have happened. Something weird must have been in the air, in the universe going on for both races to be so chaotic in this one. But regardless, yeah, this O'Reilly Series race had numerous wrecks, numerous issues, 4 different red flags as well, which is absolutely insane, and an incredible, crazy restart, overtime, down to the wire, double overtime as well. Just absolutely insane. But it all ends with Justin Allgaier coming out on top over his teammate of Carson Kvapil. Carson still looking for his first career O'Reilly Series win. He's come so close in his career, and it's coming soon rather than later. Looking at the rest of the order, Parker Retzloff and Anthony Alfredo in third and fifth. Back-to-back weekends of the Viking Motorsports Chevrolets inside the top 5. Well, not back-to-back weekends. 2 weekends out of the last three that they're inside the top 5. So shout out to the 2 Viking Motorsports drivers. Parker Retzloff in the mix for a chase position, so a good idea to keep an eye out for him. William Swalch, the other driver in the top 5, finishing in fourth. How about Garrett Smithley driving for SS Greenlight Racing, the Zero Car? Part-time schedule for Garrett, veteran of the NASCAR industry, several Cup starts under his belt, been in the O'Reilly Series for a long time. Ends up in 6th place, so shout out to Garrett Smithley and that small team. Brandon Jones actually had the fastest lap of the race in 7th place. Kyle Sieg in 8th. Raja Karuth in 9th. And Jeremy Clements, who also had a mechanical issue or actually got spun out in this one, in 10th. Mason Maggio driving for DGM Racing, Mario Gosselin's team, in 12th, or in 11th, excuse me. Josh Balicki, the other SS Greenlight Racing car, in 12th. Patrick Storopoli for Big Machine Racing in 13th, one of his best finishes of the year, if I'm not mistaken. Dean Thompson driving for Sam Hunt Racing in 26th. And then Glenn Reen. How about Glenn Reen driving for Joey Gase's team on a part-time schedule? He ends up with 15th. So shout out to Glenn Reen in one of his limited appearances. Then some other big names outside the top 15. Ryan Sieg in 16th. Brennan Poole, Sammy Smith, Nick Sanchez had a really good night going. It looks like he might be a contender for the win late in the going here. So shout out to Nick Sanchez and making some heads turn, driving for Peterson Racing in the O'Reilly Series. Austin Hill, possibly the favorite, the hometown kid who's had a lot of success at Atlanta or at Echo Park Speedway, excuse me, in his career in 22nd, multiple laps down. Brent Cruz and 24th, Sheldon Creed, Jesse Love, Jordan Anderson outside the top 25. Jake Finch, who was having a good night as well in the 9 car for Junior Motorsports part-time schedule. I believe it's his O'Reilly Series debut, if I'm not mistaken. In 30th, Sam Mayer, who led from the pole, got involved in another crash in 31st. Corey Day, Taylor Gray, Harrison Burton, all outside the top 30. Just so many good cars tore up in this race, and so many, I wouldn't say random names, but so many surprise names up inside the top 10 and even in the top 15. I mean, Glenn Reen getting a top 15 is got to tell you something. But yeah, regardless, very interesting night in the O'Reilly Series on Saturday night. So congratulations to Allgaier. Taking a look at the chase standings starting in the O'Reilly Series, Justin Allgaier and Jesse Love have both clinched spots in the chase. They're safe on points. No matter what, they will be in the chase by the end of the regular season. Sheldon Creed is still in the chase right now at the current moment. Same with Day, Kvapil, Brandon Jones, Austin Hill, Sammy Smith. Parker Retzloff now jumps up into ninth. Sam Mayer in 10th. Brent Cruz and Taylor Gray claim the final two spots, but Raja Caruth is not far behind. He is only the 17 points behind Taylor Gray. William Sawalich is only out by 21 points, and then quite a gap back to Ryan Sieg, Anthony Alfredo, Brendan Poole, and everyone else on back. So really, it's looking like Raja Caruth and William Sawalich, Taylor Gray, Brent Cruz, Sam Mayer, all really fighting for those last three spots. And Parker Retzloff, he's not safe either, but he definitely has quite a sizable gap between Retzloff and Mayer. So right now, Parker Retzloff is feeling pretty comfy with his current gap in the point standings. Then looking at the Truck Series standings, Lane Riggs and Caden Honeycutt have both clinched their spots in the chase for the Truck Series. Honeycutt's only 44 points behind Lane Riggs for the lead in the series. Chandler Smith, not too far of that conversation either, but he is over 150 points out. But he, Eckes, Ruggiero, Majeski, Rhodes, Daniel Hemrick, Grant Enfinger with his win jumps inside the top 10. Tyler Ankrum, his teammate, in 10th, while Stuart Friesen, Jake Garcia, Brendan Queen, Andres Perez, and Justin Haley, the first five out. Stuart Friesen's only 17 points out, same with Garcia. Brendan Queen is looking like he is 21 points behind or outside of the chase, so not too far back for Brendan Queen. Andres Perez is 31, and then Justin Haley is 34. Meanwhile, Tanner Gray also is in this conversation, but he has a lot of ground to make up to even get close to like someone like a Stuart Friesen, Jake Garcia, or Brendan Queen. Real quick before I move on to something else here, I do want to point out that in the Cup Series chase standings, Denny Hamlin and Tyler Reddick both have claimed chase positions. They are automatically locked in. So I did forget to mention that on in the last episode on Tuesday when I was recapping the race, the Cup Series race from late Sunday night into early Monday morning. But yeah, so there you go. Hamlin and Reddick both are clinched in. Blaney, I bet, is not too far away from clinching himself a spot in the chase as the regular season continues to wind down and the races are continuing to get fewer and fewer until the chase. Speaking of Sunday night in Atlanta, or I guess early Monday morning at Echo Park Speedway in Georgia, Ryan Blaney, of course, picked up the victory in at Echo Park Speedway, getting his second win of the season and really bolstering his chances at potentially contending for the regular season championship with Tyler Reddick and Denny Hamlin. But something that I didn't see happen until earlier yesterday, I would say, and just neglected to talk about it, is that Ryan Blaney, after he took the checker flag and had his entire victory lane celebrations and whatnot, took his new Harley Davidson that he won as part of his race win at Echo Park Speedway and possibly started one of the greatest new race ending rituals or race winning celebrations I've probably seen ever so far. We've already had Carson Hocevar with his his victory celebration at Talladega early this year. Now we got Ryan Blaney taking a Harley Davidson around the racetrack and running a lap around it. So that's awesome. And I don't think Ryan Blaney actually wore a helmet. So yeah, really risking a lot of stuff there, Ryan. But still, that's really cool to hear. And I want NASCAR drivers to really start making their own celebrations. Like, of course, we had the Kyle Busch bow. We have Ross Chastain smashing the watermelon on the start finish line. Hocevar doing his whatever it is, the leaning outside the window while driving the car. Is Ryan Blaney just going to be doing the Harley Davidson ride around the racetrack? Is that what he's going to be doing now? I don't know. I don't think it will be, but yeah, I think it would be kind of fun if NASCAR drivers, continue to bring their own race winning celebrations into the mix. I think that'd be really cool. Next up, we have another little silly season discussion, and this time it is in the O'Reilly Auto Parts series. Now, on Saturday, I already mentioned this and talking about Nick Sanchez, there was something that Adam Alexander said, the play by play broadcaster for the CW for the O'Reilly series. when Nick Sanchez was starting on the front row in that overtime restart, he said, quote, that talk in the garage is they'll have two full-time cars in 2027. They'll referring to as, Peterson Racing, the team that Nick Sanchez was racing for on excuse me, on Saturday night in Atlanta at Echo Park Speedway, which is definitely very interesting to hear because one, Peterson Racing is in their first full-time season as an organization. They just broke away from their partnership with Jordan Anderson Racing and formed a new alliance, a new technical relationship with Richard Childress Racing. And so far this year, I would say, the results have been mixed, I guess. This year, early on, Austin Green as expected, wasn't very competitive on ovals, mainly really competitive on the road courses, and he's done fairly well in his road course starts. But this year, as we got further on into the season, it was announced that Nick Sanchez would drive 4 races with the team, and I believe he's on start number 2, maybe 3 with the team. So he's coming to the end of that part-time schedule, but it was mostly to find, balance on ovals, and Nick Sanchez, a guy that has oval experience in NASCAR as recently as this season, when he drove for AM Racing, could show the team what they could do possibly on the ovals as compared to Austin Green, who, no disrespect to him, isn't necessarily a, very proficient on oval racing quite yet. I will say, though, he is doing better than LeVar Scott, who is full time for Alpha Prime Racing in the 45 car. I'm just saying. But this is definitely very interesting that Peterson Racing might be looking to expand to 2 full time teams. I don't know what to think of it, and a lot of people are comparing it to what, Viking Motorsports has done this year with Parker Retzloff and Anthony Alfredo. Last year, Viking Motorsports had their first full-time season on their own with Matt DiBenedetto, who ended up losing his ride mid-season. Connor Mozak came in to drive the rest of the way, but Viking just struggled with sponsorships, and I was worried that maybe this wouldn't last because Viking started as a satellite team of Ryan Sieg's team, the RSS Racing team. Then they moved out, made their own shop, made their own program as a Chevrolet team. Had initially a little, alliance with Richard Childress Racing. This year, though, they expanded to 2 full-time teams, brought in Parker Retzloff, brought in Anthony Alfredo to drive that second car, and expanded that relationship with Richard Childress Racing. And look at them now. Parker Retzloff currently is ninth in points and is sitting comfortably above the chase cutoff line. An absolutely massive improvement for the team and for Parker Retzloff, who has struggled his entire career and been inconsistent. I look at last year, especially when he drove for Alpha Prime Racing. It was just not a good year for Parker Retzloff. And then this year, Anthony Alfredo is for his most part having a very solid season. The teams that he isn't outrunning is Ryan Sieg, who is a very well experienced driver in the O'Reilly Series, Raja Carruth, who has split time between Jordan Anderson Racing and Junior Motorsports, one of the top teams, and then William Sawalich, a guy that drives for Joe Gibbs Racing. Meanwhile, Parker Retzloff is outrunning a Haas car and 2 Joe Gibbs Racing cars and is not too far behind a Junior Motorsports car of Sammy Smith. Still, it's very impressive what Viking Motorsports has done this year. And my thinking is that maybe Peterson Racing wants to have that similar kind of breakout season. Now, I don't think they can exactly, you know, emulate what Viking has done this year because I think the pairing of Parker Retzloff and Anthony Alfredo is just overall like one of the best pairings you can have for a team that's up and coming and looking to grow rapidly. Because Parker Retzloff is a young driver, he's continuing to improve every single season. Meanwhile, Anthony Alfredo is a very solid veteran and knows how to drive the O'Reilly Series cars and knows what he's doing and knows how to do it very, very well. Now, I don't know if we would see that type of thing from Austin Green. He would probably be like the Parker Retzloff of Viking, or of what like Viking has done this year for Peterson. He'd be like Austin Green would be like Parker Retzloff. I don't think we would see that type of rise from Austin Green unless he seriously improves on ovals, which I think will take a little bit more time. I'm expecting that, it's going to take more than 2 seasons in the O'Reilly Series for Austin Green to really improve his game on that front. But I think Austin Green will definitely improve a little bit, being that it will be another year that Austin Green has had under his belt with the O'Reilly Series. Now, who could they bring in to be that second full-time driver? Could it be Nick Sanchez? I wouldn't be opposed to it. I love Nick Sanchez. I think he is one of the best prospects in NASCAR, one of the best young drivers. I thought Nick Sanchez, maybe like 2 years ago or last year, when he was driving for Big Machine Racing, I thought that Nick Sanchez would stay in that car and maybe eventually join a Spire Motorsports O'Reilly Series team when Calling folded. I imagine that was something that was in the future for Nick Sanchez, or join a junior motorsports team and continue to go up through that Chevrolet pipeline, because I thought Nick Sanchez was that good, and I still think that. And I thought maybe that Nick Sanchez in his future had a Cup Series ride with Spire Motorsports and another Chevrolet team with his name written in it. Obviously, that's not how things went. He lost his ride to Patrick Storopoli, had to scrounge together a deal with AM Racing to begin the year. That team folded very, very quickly. Was absent from the O'Reilly Series and NASCAR scene for quite a while. Then eventually found this four-race schedule with Peterson Racing, and I will say has looked pretty solid in his couple of starts and definitely is putting his name back on the map, potentially to get a, better part-time schedule next year or get a full-time ride next year. And full-time rides, could be anywhere. And I think one of them could be with Peterson Racing. And he could be kind of like the guy Anthony Alfredo is to Viking Motorsports, a veteran who has been around NASCAR for a couple years now. He's had a couple truck seasons under his belt. He has one full-time season of NASCAR O'Reilly Series racing under his belt and was very successful at it with Big Machine Racing last year. And while I don't think Peterson Racing is exactly where Big Machine Racing was with Nick Sanchez, I actually think now they are actually pretty similar because Austin Green's not too far behind Patrick Storopoli, so realistically they're not too far apart. I think maybe Nick Sanchez could do some pretty good things with Peterson Racing next year. So I think that, expansion for Peterson Racing, is it the right move? Might be a little bit too early. It might be, especially when the results are a little mediocre and you're going to have much younger drivers and much less experience compared to Anthony Alfredo and Parker Retzlaff. Nick Sanchez does have experience, but not even, I think, the same amount as Parker Retzlaff. And Austin Green, yeah, he doesn't have anywhere near the experience as, someone like, I don't know, Raja Caruth, who's a rookie this year, or maybe even a Harrison Burton or a Patrick Storopoli on racing in the NASCAR Rally Auto Parts Series. So, I don't know. I think that Peterson Racing expanding to two full-time teams is a little ambitious. I wouldn't be surprised if they do it, but if I was in their position, I might be a little bit more conservative in that regard. I think that they might, choose to, have a second car that they bring out a couple weekends throughout the year, put Nick Sanchez or whoever else they want to put in that car and test it out. That would be what I would do. Wait till year 3 to expand to a third full-time team when you have Austin Green, who has 2 full years of O'Reilly Series racing under his belt, and you have Nick Sanchez potentially, or whoever else that they decide to put in there, with a little bit more experience as well, possibly. Like, if you want to follow what Viking Motorsports is doing, you need a young guy. Austin Green can definitely do that, and a veteran. There's not that many veterans that are just floating out there at this current moment, at least in my opinion. I mean, Matt DiBenedetto's there, but we know Matt DiBenedetto and what he's become. So I don't think you really want to go with Matt DiBenedetto. So that's my take on if Peterson Racing should expand to two full-time teams next year. I don't I don't know if I would do it personally, but I wouldn't be surprised if it does happen. So let me know down in the comments. Should Peterson Racing expand to two full-time teams next year in the O'Reilly Series? Next up, Austin Cindric will be running a throwback scheme to Rusty Wallace in this weekend's race at North Wilkesboro with his primary sponsor of Freightliner on the car, and it will have a very nice looking scheme to it. I think it's one of the better schemes that I've seen from Freightliner this season, but it will be a throwback to one of, I believe, Rusty Wallace's Miller Lite schemes. It'll have that gold yellowish door number with the gold yellow highlights, and will have the black base with Freightliner as the primary sponsor. It looks like a pretty good car. I am not mad about it at all. Looks a lot better than what the Freightliner schemes are currently, but overall, really cool scheme. Really cool that Austin Cindric is throwing it back to Rusty Wallace this upcoming weekend in North Wilkesboro. I can't wait to see this car on track, and I think it will look pretty cool. Next up, we got some big breaking news out of the NASCAR Cup Series earlier today. NASCAR has unveiled some new rule changes and rules packages for the upcoming NASCAR Cup Series race at Daytona in a few weeks. And I think these changes are going to be very interesting to see how they play out. NASCAR is making these changes to hopefully improve the Cup Series racecraft and race quality on superspeedways like Daytona and Talladega. And the big thing that has been always hindering that racing product is the amount of drag that these NASCAR Cup Series cars are creating, and the fuel saving strategy and the track position game that is played with the NASCAR Cup cars at superspeedways, because there's so much drag on these cars that they cannot move forward on their own, and they have to rely on getting track position and fuel strategy and fuel saving to, make things last and gain track position. And that's how races are won at super speedways like Daytona and Talladega, and it really ruins the racing. The fuel saving really just creates one giant pack. There's no movement whatsoever. The cars are just kind of standing there, stand packed, three by three by three by three by three by, and so on. And it just looks good. It looks good on TV. It's cool to see a big pack like that, but the racing is terrible. It is absolutely awful. So, and that's all because of, drivers are too afraid to step out of line on their own to go for the lead, because they know if once they step out of line, they go three wide all by themselves, they're just going to go to the back like an instant. They'll drop like a rock through the pack because of how much drag that this new car has on the body with its big spoiler, all the underbody stuff. That's kind of what the name of the game is in the NASCAR Cup Series with the super speedway racing. Now, with this new rules package, it will be hoping to reduce the amount of drag on these cars, and hopefully dissuade teams from these fuel saving tendencies. So, the first thing that NASCAR is doing is that they're shortening the rear spoiler from 7 inches down to 4 inches, the same height that is on the intermediate tracks like Kansas, Nashville, and so on and so forth. The mile and a half tracks, I guess, is like the appropriate group that they are in. NASCAR as well will be reducing the horsepower from 510 horsepower on super speedways down to 465, and it's just to compensate for the reduced downforce, which I don't know. I don't know how to feel about that, but I think it makes sense in, the overall grand scheme of things. And I don't think it's that big of a deal if they want to increase the horsepower back up to 510 at all. And NASCAR officials do say they anticipate the single car runs to be approximately 3 miles an hour faster than the current package that is on the next gen cars at Daytona and Talladega, but the cars in the packs are expected to remain about the same speeds. Denny Hamlin was on Inside the Race, the NASCAR show that airs weekly, was one of the leading uh, drivers and leading forces in creating this new rules package, spoke on the show and said that NASCAR is hoping to recreate what Atlanta has been in the cup level for the last couple races at Daytona and Talladega, which is these big runs out of nowhere, these big pushes, real aggressive racing, and that creates really good racing quality overall. Then he said they are also trying to put the teams back on offense all the time like they are at Atlanta. So when I look at this new rules package and what they're trying to achieve, I think it makes sense, and I'm hoping these changes work. The thing that has been, really apparent in my eyes is that, again, if teams want to step out of line and try to make a, run at the lead, and they do it by themselves, they step out of line, they're just hit by a wall of air pretty much, and just completely fall back throughout the pack because they have so much drag under that car and they slow so much down. Meanwhile, in the draft, there's so much air being deflected by the cars in front of them that they can go faster than going by themselves. So that's definitely something that we would like to create. And Atlanta has become the best super speedway in the sport, at least on the Cup Series calendar, with the amount of runs, the aggression, the great racing. We just saw it this past weekend and how amazing that was. So I'm hoping these changes do work. And if it does, man, oh man, we'll be racing at Daytona and Talladega actually be fun again. So that will be amazing to see. So I'm glad NASCAR is working towards fixing this. They have announced previously that they are bringing back preseason Thunder, the annual test they host at Daytona, to, and hopefully this will be tests to, change the rules packages on super speedways, which has been the most troublesome thing in the Cup Series nowadays, with short tracks slowly but surely becoming better racing. are producing better racing on track. It really has become super speedways that have become the biggest thing against NASCAR in the Cup Series. So, needless to say, I am very much encouraged by this new rules package that NASCAR has come out with for the for the super speedway races coming up starting at Daytona in a couple of weeks. So, I'm hoping this works, and I'm hoping the racing product is so much better. So, with that being said, let me know down in the comments what you think about this rules package, and do you think it will have any effect on the racing at Daytona in a couple of weeks? Now moving on, we have the round 4 preview for the in-season challenge this weekend in North Wilkesboro, and we only have 2 matchups. This is the final 4, the best of the best, who are set to set the best and the final round matchup for Indianapolis in round 5, coming up at the Brickyard 400. So the matchups are the 25 seed Todd Gilliland, who is the underdog of the entire bracket, taking on the number 4 seed of Chase Elliott, NASCAR's most popular driver. On the other side of the bracket, it will be Christopher Bell, the 10 seed, taking on Ryan Blaney, the 3 seed. So, very interesting matchups here. We'll start with Chase Elliott and Todd Gilliland this weekend in North Wilkesboro. Again, no disrespect to Todd Gilliland, but I am going to stick with my picks here of having Chase Elliott move on to the final round. I think Todd Gilliland has shown to us that he can make an upset move and make a move to move on to the next round. But I don't think it's going to happen here. A short track for front row has not been very good this year. Meanwhile, Chase Elliott is one of the better short track drivers in the sport. He already has a win on a short track at Martinsville earlier this season. So I'm expecting that success to continue for Chase Elliott. He will move on to round 5, excuse me, of the in-season challenge. Meanwhile, on the other side, Christopher Bell versus Ryan Blaney. This one is a little bit tougher because on one hand, you have Christopher Bell, the most recent winner at North Wilkesboro, who won last year's All-Star race, going up against Ryan Blaney, who drives for one of the best short track racing teams in the Cup Series with Team Penske. And Ryan Blaney won a short track earlier this year at Phoenix, his only prior win to his this past weekend in Atlanta. So, needless to say, this will be a very, very interesting matchup. And I think I hate to be boring, but unfortunately, I am. I am going to be boring here. I am going to stick with my picks once again. I had Ryan Blaney and Chase Elliott moving on to the final round to take each other on in round 5 at Indianapolis in a week from today. Not a week from today. In the week after this weekend's race in North Wilkesboro. So, with that being said, I am going to stick with my pick of Ryan Blaney to move on. I think Blaney he has a very good chance of going back to back this weekend in North Wilkesboro. I think that's how good Blaney is on short tracks. And overall, Penske as a team, they have done so well on the short tracks as of late. So, I think Blaney and that will outweigh Christopher Bell, who still is battling a hurt wrist. So, I think that will have some effect into it. So, I hate to do it to Christopher Bell and how well he's done so far, even though I kind of wrote him off in the first round. He has proved me wrong. I'm still going to go with my pick of Ryan Blaney to move on to round 5 to take on Chase Elliott at Indianapolis in the Brickyard 400. But if you think differently and disagree with my picks, let me know down in the comments who you have moving on to round 5 of the in-season challenge. But now it is time to move on to the final segment of today's show, my NASCAR Cup Series Power Rankings. Atlanta usually is a tough track to rank afterwards because it's a super speedway now, and anything and everything can happen, but I think the drivers made it pretty easy on me because there was a lot of clean racing, there weren't that many wrecks, and a lot of the good drivers, the best drivers, a lot of the well-known names finished towards the top of the order, so it shouldn't be that hard for me to rank this week. But starting off here with a couple of honorable mentions. First, I have Ross Chastain. I know the results have not necessarily been there for Chastain this year. He's had a couple good races, a couple good finishes, but overall it's been a very disappointing for Chastain, but he has slowly climbed his way back up inside the chase conversation. And at 11th at Echo Park Speedway was very impressive. He was working his way up through the field. He was making moves like Chastain normally does. And before these past 2 weekends in Sonoma and Chicago, he was inside the top 10 in back-to-back races at Pocono and San Diego, and barely had a top 10 at Echo Park Speedway. Sonoma, he started inside the top 10. Chicagoland was a little bit more of a disappointing race, but still, he had to overcome a good amount to finish in 18th. So, what Chastain has shown me is that he may not be nearly as good as he was a couple years ago or even last year. Chastain still got some fight in there, so I'm willing to give Ross Chastain an honorable mention here. Eric Jones as well gets an honorable mention. Top 10 this weekend, top 5, at Echo Park Speedway. Thrust himself back up inside the chase, currently sitting 16th in points, the last driver in, at a top 5 last week, top 15, last weekend in Chicagoland. We'll see if he can keep this up. It's going to be a tough stretch for Eric Jones, and it's going to be tough for him to continue to hold on to that chase position. But Eric Jones, he's a veteran driver. We'll see if he can keep it up. I got him as an honorable mention this week. Same for SVG. He had a top 10 at Echo Park Speedway. Very impressive from him. But as of late, it's been a little up and down for SVG. Pocono finished outside the top 30 after getting involved in a wreck with Austin Hill. Same thing again at San Diego, where he finished in 38th, even though he should have had a much better finish than that. Then bounced back at Sonoma with a first place finish, then finished outside the top 20 at Chicago, then bounces back for a top 10 at Echo Park Speedway. So, been a little bit up and down for SVG, but still, he does hold a spot in the chase. Not by a lot, though. He's the second driver in, so it's going to be a difficult stretch for SVG as well. We'll see if he can continue to keep this momentum up after a really good race at Echo Park Speedway in Atlanta. And the last honorable mention that I have to mention is William Byron. Such a disappointing race weekend in Atlanta this past weekend. Finished outside the top 15, 16th place. At a track that he's won at previously, he had issues with the car. He was battling it all night long, was very unhappy with his crew chief of Rudy Fugle. Just bad vibes all around that 2014 this entire weekend. On a weekend where he was trending up after 3 really solid weekends out of the last 4. Top 5 at Pocono, then finished 12th at Sonoma, and then top 5 again at Chicagoland, where he showed legitimate race-winning speed. And heading into at Echo Park Speedway, a track he's won at in the past, I thought William Byron might actually break through this weekend, and he puts up a pretty fat stinker of a race at Echo Park Speedway. So, I gotta drop Byron outside the top 10. We'll see if he can turn it around at North Wilkesboro. We'll have to wait and see. But starting off the top 10 with number 10, I have the driver of the number 23 car for 2311 Racing. I have Bubba Wallace. I know, Bubba finished outside the top 25. He finished in 29th. I know, I am hearing your complaints already. But I'm giving Bubba Wallace the 10th position because before that penalty, Bubba Wallace had ran a great race and was in line to finish inside the top 5. And he crossed the line technically in the top 5. So, Bubba had a really good race going. And that would be back-to-back weeks of really solid races for the 23 team. Finished top 10 last weekend in Chicagoland, and not too long ago, finished second behind his teammate of Corey Heim at San Diego. So, a little up and down for Bubba, but it looks like he was actually getting a back-to-back really solid races with top 5s at both, or top 10s both at Chicagoland and Echo Park Speedway. I know that penalty came into play, and the momentum has surely been knocked down a couple pegs for Bubba Wallace, but I like the speed that he showed. Maybe that will carry over at North Wilkesboro this upcoming weekend. I have Bubba Wallace at 10. At number 9, I still have Chris Buescher. Nice little rebound race at Echo Park Speedway, finishing in 10th place after kind of underwhelming races at Sonoma and Chicagoland. But good bounce back top 10 for Chris Buescher. We'll see if he can continue that consistency, I guess, at North Wilkesboro this upcoming weekend. Ford's been pretty solid on short track, so we'll see if that really carries over for Chris Buescher and that entire 17 team. He's in the chase, sitting pretty comfortably. We'll see if Chris Buescher can maybe break through for a win sometime soon. Don't think it will happen this weekend at North Wilkesboro, but things have happened that are crazier in the past, so I got Buescher at 9. At number 8, I have the hometown kid of Chase Elliott. Just another quality week from Chase Elliott. These last 5 races have all been in the teens for Chase Elliott. If you take out Sonoma, he's finished with 11th, 12th, 11th at Chicagoland, and then 13th at Echo Park Speedway. So, just rinse and repeat, I guess, for Chase Elliott. But he is a good short track racer. He won at Martinsville earlier this season, so I think that will have something to do with it. He's good at managing tires, which is a pretty high tire wear track, which I think is North Wilkesboro. But Chase Elliott, he's still definitely a top 10 driver in the sport. He's just so very, very consistent. He's kind of taken on that Chris Buescher role, I guess, when Buescher's kind of been stumbling as of late these last 2 weeks. But we'll see if Chase Elliott can step it up a little bit more heading into North Wilkesboro. At number 7, down to 4 spots, I got Chase Briscoe. Man, this was a rough back to reality moment for that 19 team because, man, back-to-back top 5s with a win at Chicagoland and a runner-up finish at Sonoma to come plummeting back down in 36th at Echo Park Speedway. Man, what a turnaround for that 19 team. I know he got some stage points and in stage 1, but didn't look great in stage 2, and then got caught up in that wreck late in stage 3, and it was just kind of a quiet night for Chase Briscoe. Now, if Briscoe had this night, and I think with this night, I think Chase Briscoe would still be up inside, the top 5, maybe in 6th place. But I dropped him down to 7th because the drivers that he's been dropped down behind, like his teammates of Bell, Gibbs, and Reddick, who all had better weeks, I think they just deserve to move up one spot while Briscoe has to move down, and I just don't think it was fair to put him above them. But it's very close from 7th, 6th, 5th, and 4th. It's very close, right in that little area right now in my top 10. So it's not that Briscoe had a bad week in Atlanta. It wasn't a great finish, but still was solid. It just wasn't the best out of the 4, so I gotta drop Chase Briscoe down to 7th place. It was only a week ago at Chicagoland that he won, so it's not like Chase Briscoe saying that he's the 7th best driver in the sport right now is anything bad to say about Chase Briscoe, because realistically, he is like 4D right now. So that's how tight that little gap, a little section of the top 10 is right now between Briscoe and 3 other Toyota drivers at the current moment. So Briscoe at 7, I think he'll easily be in contention to jump back up inside the top 5 after North Wilkesboro this upcoming weekend. At number 6, up 2 spots from last weekend, I have Briscoe's teammate of Christopher Bell. And Bell, with the broken wrist, has had 3 straight top 5s. I don't think there's much more to say other than, Christopher Bell has been very impressive, to say the least. He came close to getting his first win at Chicagoland last week. He was close to actually getting that first win of the season at Echo Park this past weekend, where he pushed Ryan Blaney to the victory. So, Bell pushing Ryan Blaney led to good things for him. So, pretty solid race weekend for him. We'll see if that will continue. He won this race last year at North Wilkesboro. It was the All-Star race, so I'll give you that. Smaller field. But who's to say that Christopher Bell can't get it done once again? I have Bell at 6. At number 5, staying in the same position as last weekend, I have Chase Briscoe's other teammate of Ty Gibbs. Another top 5 for Ty Gibbs, 3 straight top 10s for the youngest of the 4 Joe Gibbs Racing drivers in the Cup Series. So shout out to Ty Gibbs on a really good stretch as of late. Quiet, really good stretch of races for Ty Gibbs. He hasn't been, well documented or talked about very much, but 3 straight top 10s for Ty Gibbs, 2 of them being top 5s, is not bad for Ty Gibbs, all coming on different track types. We'll see if he can make it 4 top 5s or top 10s in a row on the 4th different type of race track, which is a short track. We'll have to wait and see how that happens, but he did get his first win of his career at Bristol, which is a short track, so maybe things will be something similar for Ty Gibbs this upcoming weekend at North Wilkesboro. So I got Ty Gibbs at number 5. At number 4, though, up 2 spots from last weekend, I have Tyler Reddick. He clinched a spot in the chase. He rebounded after 3 really rough races at San Diego, Sonoma, and Chicago with a top 10 at 8th place. So very solid stuff from the driver of the number 45 car. Great things from Reddick. We'll see if he can continue that success, this little bit of momentum that he just gained from Atlanta at North Wilkesboro. Short tracks haven't been the thing for Tyler Reddick, but maybe this weekend things will be different for that 45 team. So I got Reddick at number 4. At number 3, I have Kyle Larson. Was in line to get a pretty good finish at Echo Park Speedway until he made a mistake yet again on a super speedway. Who's ever heard of that? But, Kyle Larson had a very solid race at Echo Park Speedway overall. Ran good in stage 1, was up front. Stage 2 wasn't as good, fell outside the top 10, but still showed some great speed. And then, of course, he got wrecked in stage 3. But still, one of the better super speedway races we've seen from Kyle Larson. So I'm willing to let him drop down only 1 spot, because it could have been worse. Trust me, it could have been worse. But Larson's been close to getting that first win. Prior to Chicago as well, Kyle Larson had a stretch of really good races going on. 4 consecutive top 5s, with 4th at Sonoma, 3rd at San Diego, 5th at Pocono, and then 4th at Michigan, all of which he started inside the top 10 except for San Diego, but managed to have a really good race. So we'll see if Kyle Larson can bounce back from two rough finishes at Chicago and Echo Park Speedway this weekend in North Wilkesboro. At number 2, down one spot from last weekend, I have Denny Hamlin. Another pretty solid finish for Hamlin, finishing inside the top 15. One of his only good finishes at New Atlanta, where he's just struggled to race the track overall, but not bad overall for Denny Hamlin, coming off a top 5 at Chicagoland, and then most recently at one of his better finishes was the 14th at San Diego, which is a road course, so showed good speed at Sonoma as well. Won Pocono not too long ago as well, so Hamlin is still easily one of the top drivers in the NASCAR Cup Series right now, alongside of his own driver of Tyler Reddick and Kyle Larson at the current moment. Ryan Blaney, the guy we'll get to in just a minute. Hamlin is good. He still is inside the top 5 for me, and at least inside the top 3. So I got Denny Hamlin at number 2, but there is a new number 1, and in the number 1 position, it is your most recent winner of Ryan Blaney. Yeah, Blaney, he's just been really, really good as of late. Yeah, going all the way back to the Coca-Cola 600, this stretch is insane. He got a win at Echo Park Speedway, finished 7th place at Chicagoland, 6th at Sonoma, 9th at San Diego, 10th at Pocono, 8th at Michigan, 8th at Nashville, 7th at Charlotte. Yeah, that is absolutely incredible. That is what I'm counting right now. That is, I think, 8 consecutive top 10s. That's just insane work from Ryan Blaney. Like, they've been in the back half of the top 10, but this has just been an insane stretch for Ryan Blaney. Absolutely. He started from the pole at Echo Park Speedway. He swept both stages, won the race, and then drove around the racetrack to end it in a Harley. Like, those are the actions of the number 1 driver in the Cup Series right now. And that's right, Ryan Blaney right now. Holy cow, has he just been absolutely unstoppable as of late. And I think he has a chance to go back-to-back this weekend in North Wilkesboro, because Penske is very good on short tracks, and Ryan Blaney, prior to Atlanta, his only other win this season was on a short track at Phoenix. So I think Blaney has a chance to do it again. He has a chance to go back-to-back, so Blaney can continue this incredible stretch. I don't know if this top 10 stretch is ever going to end. Maybe at Richmond, where it's not been one of his better tracks, but even that's a short track. I think Indianapolis, that can continue. Iowa, he's won there in the past. New Hampshire's a short flat oval. Daytona, he won there last year in that exact same race. Darlington, he's been very, very good. Gateway's a short flat track. Bristol, maybe he doesn't do very good there, but Kansas, he can definitely do some good things there. Same with Vegas, same with Charlotte, same with Phoenix, same with Talladega, same with Martinsville, same with Homestead. So the tracks that he really has to worry about not finishing top 10 in is maybe Richmond and maybe Bristol, at least in my mind. Yeah, Ryan Blaney is getting hot at the right time, and it's scary to think about as another fan of another driver with Chase Elliott right now. So yeah, crazy work that Ryan Blaney has been doing these last couple of races. The last almost 10 weeks is absolutely insane. So yeah, long story short, Ryan Blaney is the new number 1 driver in the NASCAR Cup Series. So there you go. That is my top 10 after the second Atlanta race of the season. Quick recap: Ryan Blaney's number 1, 2 Denny Hamlin, 3 Kyle Larson, 4 Tyler Reddick, 5 Ty Gibbs, 6 Christopher Bell, 7 Chase Briscoe, 8 Chase Elliott, 9 Chris Buescher, 10 Bubba Wallace, with the honorable mentions of being William Byron, Shane Van Gisbergen, Eric Jones, and Ross Chastain. Whew. That was a lot. That was a lot of stuff that I covered here today in this episode. So thank you so much for listening to the entire thing if you have made it to this point, so I really appreciate it. But that will do it for this episode of Talkin NASCAR, everyone. Hope you all enjoyed. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you like what I'm doing over here, go check out all the other episodes that I posted on Talkin NASCAR. We just posted the Atlanta race recap, so make sure to go listen to that before we have this weekend's race recap for North Wilkesboro coming up in the next week, I would say. So make sure you go check that one out as well, and go follow the show so you never miss another new episode of Talkin NASCAR, I should add. So make sure you follow so you never miss another episode. But if you like what I'm doing over here as well, go check out Talking Sports with Miles and Andrew. I'll have links to that show down in the description below as well. So thank you so much for listening, and I will see you very, very soon for the next episode of Talkin NASCAR.